Guys, you'll never believe this. It's like 9 p.m. and I got kicked out of my hotel here in Sri Lanka, so I had to move hotels. I'll go inside and we'll explain the whole thing. Get out of here! Alright guys, I was gonna film this video last night, but it was such a crazy night and it's such a long night. And I was like, you know what, let me just sleep on this and before I share this, because it's a complicated situation. I don't know if you guys, so right now it's kind of mid-June 2020, middle of the end of the COVID pandemic, hopefully. But just to let you guys kind of understand the situation, Sri Lanka has not let in new tourists for the last 3 months. So there's been no new tourism coming in. And in these areas we're staying at, the economy is basically 100% built on tourism. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of hotels, and sadly probably half of them are either completely empty or just they didn't even bother opening for the season. To make it worse, this is the second year in a row where they had no tourists. Last year, so in 2018, Lonely Planet declared Sri Lanka the top must-visit country for 2019. Unfortunately, 2019, there was a bombing by some extremists, and that really like screwed up the tourism because people were afraid to come. There was, you know, all these issues, right? And this year, we had the COVID situation, and there's just basically no tourists. So, as you guys know, like, I've been now here for what, 4 months, and I'm in a unique position. Most travelers, I would say 99% of travelers, are just living off of savings, and they're just like, they're basically running out of money. They're going broke. There's so much competition for hotel rooms that every single place is doing like 50, 75% off, 90% off deals. And that's why you saw that villa that normally goes for $150 a night going for $300 a month, which is 90% off. Really beautiful places. And the owners really just want to stay open. You know, they're like, well, somebody needs to live in these. If I just leave them empty, that's not good either. This way, at least it can cover the costs. It can pay the staff. You know, maybe they're not making a lot of money, but they're making something. All right. So if you've been following my journey, that first apartment that I was quarantined in for 2 months, I was paying $500 a month, even when the girl I was living with moved out and we stopped paying rent. And I was okay with continuing to pay that because I was their only customer, and I knew 100% I can just move, or I can just ask for like a big reduction. They would have gave it to me. But I was like, you know, I'm their only customer. Let me just, I can afford it. Let me just pay them. And then I got so tired of living there because I was there for like 2-3 months, and I was like, okay, you know what? They have enough money for the season. Let me move somewhere else. And I started looking around, and without even negotiating or asking, there were just deals everywhere. And that's how I found that villa, that shit villa, for $241 a month. The funny thing about that is when I moved in and I spoke to the other 4 girls living there, I realized they were paying half of what I was paying. They were paying like $150 a month, which is insane. And I knew 100% I could have went to the manager and negotiated and say, hey, you know, they're paying this, let me pay this. But I didn't. I was like, you know what? It's such a good value anyways. Let me just pay it. It's fine. And when I came here to Agamon Bay, there was deals everywhere too. So basically, from everything I've seen, without negotiating, just like asking around, the prices are about 1,000 rupees a night, which is about $6 or say, for a fan room, like a really basic room. And these are, you know, I would say they're being taken up quickly, but there's so many of them that they're not full. For air-conditioned rooms, for basic air-conditioned room, they start at 1,500 a night, which is about $8. And remember, all these prices are super discounted because of this situation. But this is just kind of what's going around. So like, you know, if someone advertises on a Facebook group or a WhatsApp group, that's kind of just what they offer. And then the nicer places that are also air conditioned range anywhere from 2,000 to 2,500 a night, just advertised, you know. And sometimes you can go in and negotiate down, and then some people want more. And I understand why they want more, because they're used to charging 2, 3, 4 times that amount. But at the same time, a lot of them realize, you know what, hey, making a little bit of money this year is better than making nothing. So I decided wanted to go and stay really close, as close as possible to the surf point I wanted to stay at. All right, sorry, I had to get a coffee. So the surf point is a 20-minute drive from Agamemnon Bay. And Agamemnon Bay has a strip, just like probably like a 1 kilometer, maybe like half-mile long row along the beach. That's all hotels and restaurants. And there's probably, I would estimate, at least 50 hotels here, maybe more. And the going rate is, you know, so I'm only looking at air-conditioned rooms. Ironically, I don't even use the AC at night. I think I just like having the option of having it just in case, and I'm willing to pay a bit more to have that option. So I was only looking at air-conditioned rooms, and basically people were just offering. They're like, come stay with me, $1,500. This one's $2,000. This one's $2,500. And I was like, you know what? I really want to stay next to this surf point and not have to take a tuk-tuk in or ride a scooter in every day. Let me go over there instead. And unfortunately, there was only one option because it's, you know, it's a surf point, so it's not like a city or anything. There was like 4 or 5 hotels total, and all of them were like fan rooms. And there was only one that was like a really nice place, a luxury place. And they had AC, you know, nice room. And they were actually the only place I've seen in months in Sri Lanka with a flat screen TV. And it's been like 4 months since I watched, you know, a movie on a TV, on a nice TV. And I was like, you know what, that would be nice, right? Because it's been a long time, and under quarantine, like most of you guys are sitting at home watching Netflix, maybe even watching this on your, you know, your big TV, and you're projecting it on your Fire Stick or your Roku, or whatever it is. And I was like, you know what, yeah, it'd be nice, right? I'll pay a bit more. I'll plug in my Fire Stick. I'll watch some Netflix and some YouTube on this big TV. I said, cool, man. How much is it, you know, for 1 month? And here's the funny thing about Sri Lanka is nobody will ever quote you or even know how much their rooms cost for a month. They literally have to take out a calculator and do the math. I think it's the short term or in the moment thinking of people in Sri Lanka, but even the people that move here, nobody's thinking about what's happening in a month from now. They think day to day. So they will always quote you the nightly price. They'll never quote you a monthly price. If they do, they'll quote you the nightly price, and then they'll take out their calculator and multiply it by 30, which is really ridiculous because everywhere else in the world, if you're gonna rent a place long term, it's gonna be a monthly price. And it's good for them because they can see, even though the daily price would be a bit lower, if this guy's guaranteed for 30 days, then the total amount's pretty good. But people just here don't think like that way. So at first he was like, well, 2 years ago, when I first opened during the high season, I was charging $100 a night for this room. And I was like, okay, good for you. I was like, what are you charging now? And he's like, well, if you stay 30 days, I can give you a 50% discount. And I was like, okay, how much is that in rupees? Because I was so used to comparing prices now in Sri Lankan rupees. And he's like, yeah, I'll give it to you for, I don't know what the first price he said was, like 10,000 or something. I was like, 10,000? I was like, everyone else wants 2,000. I was like, no, like, I want to stay a whole month. How much is the price? And he goes back and forth. And he goes down a bit. And I said to him, I was like, hey, like, just to be honest, I would like to stay at your place. It's very nice. And I understand that you normally make a lot more, but right now, every place is charging $2,000 a night, like maybe $2,500 a night. That's just the standard going rate right now. And I said, look, I can afford to pay a bit more, and I like this place, and I'd rather be closer to the surf point, and there's no other options, so I'm gonna pay you double. And in most cases, right, when you hear someone saying, I'll pay you double what the competition is asking for, that's a fair rate. And I understand he's used to making a lot more, during the proper high season when they're sold out and he's the only option. I understand that it costs a lot to run a business, and I understand he probably invested a lot of money building the place. So I understand all of this. I also understand that a lot of tourists will just waste AC. They'll blast it on the lowest setting, 18 centigrade, you know, whatever that is, Fahrenheit, like 50s. And they'll just leave it on all day, all night, even when they leave. And it costs a lot of money to run AC. I never do that. I sleep with the AC at either at 27, which is like, I don't know what that is. It might be like 80 or something. It's like in the high 70s. It's like, it's on like the very lowest setting. The fan on the lowest setting, the AC on the lowest setting. And usually I actually end up turning it off after like an hour because it gets too cold. And during the day, if I turn it on, it's at like 26, 27, which is like, you know, the super low settings. And I always turn it off when I leave. So I know for a fact I'm not using that much electricity or air conditioning, especially compared to other travelers. And this is what drives me crazy, guys. If you're one of them where you know something like this, let them know, because I think a lot of people have a mentality where, well, electricity is included, it's free, I'm paying for it, so I'm just gonna run it. It's convenient. I'm just gonna have it the coldest setting. I'm just gonna leave it on all day because I want my room to be cold when I come in, even though I've been gone for 8 hours. It only takes 3 minutes to cool down again. What people don't realize is, yeah, it doesn't cost you any more right now, but it ends up costing the hotel or the owner more, which then trickles down. So the next time you stay somewhere, it's going to be more expensive. Plus you're wasting electricity, it's bad for the environment. There's no benefit of it except for you being a slightly more comfortable and not having to wait 3 minutes for it to cool down. So that's my rant about AC. So I said to this guy, like, look, like, I would like to stay at your place. I'm happy to pay double what everyone else is asking for. I promise I won't use that much AC. And, you know, and like, if you want it, this is what I'm offering. And I said, you know, $4,000 a month, which in dollars really isn't that much. If you think about it, it's only like $22 or $23 a night, which is, you know, a quarter of what he normally charges. But it was still gonna be $650 a month, which is $650 he wouldn't have had. And $650 in Sri Lanka goes pretty far, right? And he was kind of reluctant, but he's like, okay, man, just, you know, yeah, okay. He's like, don't tell anyone. So sorry, I'm telling you more now, but it's a unique situation, right? So I stayed there. The very first day, there was like a pool party there, but you know, ended at 10 p.m. and I was like, oh, that was cool, whatever. And he said, hey, you know, just to let you know, I'm not selling that many rooms right now, so this is kind of a way to make money, bring customers in, selling, alcohol. And I was like, yeah, that's fine, I understand. And he's like, okay, but don't worry, like, we'll turn off the music by 9:30, 10 o'clock at the latest, but we're having another party on Saturday. I said, yeah, that's cool, I completely understand, no problem. And, from that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I was a good customer. Always turned off the AC. I ate there at least once a day, sometimes twice a day. And granted, the food there is 2 to 4 times the price of the food in town as well. So, 3 days in, he asks, he's like, have you decided if you want to stay a month? Because we had made a deal where I said, like, look, I don't know if I want to commit to a whole month yet. And I was like, we can do I'll commit to 1 week at 4,000, and if I like it here, and in my mind, I'm like, if I like it means like, if it's not too loud, if everything actually works, I was like, if I like it, I'll stay for a month. And he said, at first he was like, yeah, no worries. And then like 2-3 days later, he's like, Johnny, like, you need to tell me right now, and you need to pay me cash up front right now for everything. He's like, if you want to stay for a month. He's like, I'm giving you such a good deal, like, you need to pay me right now. And I was like, whoa, like first off, the internet has not worked the entire time I've been here. And that was one thing he promised was great. And ironically, there's a router in my room, but turns out it was not hooked up to anything. To make it worse, the walls are so thick that cell phone reception didn't work at all in my room. So in my room, I can't even get a text message. I'd have to go outside just to send a message every time. And he kept promising, he's like, oh yeah, don't worry, the manager will fix it, So that never got fixed. And I was like, I don't know if I want to commit to a month if I can't even get cell phone reception in my room, yet alone work. But for the convenience of being there and kind of out of laziness, to be honest, I was like, you know what, I'll just stay here. It's fine, right? And I was leaning towards just staying for the whole month. But he just kept pushing and pushing. And what really, the straw that broke the camel's back, me being the camel, is on Saturday, he's like, okay, Johnny, we're having this party tonight, but don't worry, 9:30, 10 o'clock, the music will stop. I said, okay, yeah, that's fine, don't worry, I completely understand. You know, I attended for a bit, I had a burger, then I had a pizza, I bought a beer for my friend, and, you know, at 9:30, I go to bed, I'm like, okay, it's gonna end in half an hour. I lay there, it's thumping, boom, 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 boom. This music, it's thumping, right? They have a DJ there. You know, it's a good amount of people, but not like a ton of people, right? You know, 30, 40 people. It's like thumping, and I'm like, okay, it's gonna end in half an hour. It's not that big of a deal. And I lay there. I'm trying to fall asleep. I can't, because my room is pretty close to the bar area and the pool. And I put in earplugs, and I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna try to go to sleep. And I lay there and I meditate, and I'm like, it's fine, it's gonna end. And like 2 hours later, it's still going. 3 hours later, it's still going. And finally, I get so frustrated. And if you guys have ever been in a situation where there's loud noise and you just can't sleep, you're doing whatever you can, you have earplugs in, nothing's working, you get pissed, right? I checked my phone and I was like, it is 1 a.m. This guy said the party would stop at 10. This is 3 hours later. So I go outside, I try to find him, he's not there. I find the manager, and I say to him, I was like, hey man, like the party was supposed to stop at 10. Can you please cut the music or end the party? And he's like, and this guy's drunk. And he's like, oh man, but people are having so much fun. I was like, I know, but I'm trying to sleep. And he's like, yeah, but you know, the people are having fun. And by this time, there wasn't even that many people. There was like 10 people left. And I was like, please, like something. Can you like lower the music, something? And he's like, yeah, in 20 minutes. I was like, no, man, like, let me speak to the owner. And he's like, oh, the owner is sleeping. I was like, there's no way he's sleeping, right? So I go and I knock on the door, wait, doesn't answer. I knock harder, doesn't answer. And the music's so loud. I'm like, this guy probably can't hear me. So I start banging on it. And he doesn't answer. And I'm like pissed, dude. I think I'm like banging. I'm like trying not to break the door, but I'm like the police, but like get like, hey, somebody open up. And his wife comes out. Turns out she was at the party. She's super drunk as well. And she's like, Johnny, what's the problem? People are having fun. Come join us. I'm like, look, I don't want to join you. I want to go to sleep because I'm there to surf, and the surf is good in the morning. So I was like, I need to wake up early to go surfing. And I was like, you know what? Even if I wake up a little bit later, it's not a big deal. But it's like, I don't want to lay there, listen to thumping music all night, right? Like I was like, I paid for a room to sleep, and this is supposed to be like a luxury hotel. I was like, I didn't sign up for this. And so the owner never came down, right? I'm sure he was either completely drunk and passed out and just didn't wake up, or he just didn't care. He was like, whatever. So I'm negotiating with this manager and the wife, and I'm like, look, I would like you to stop, but if you want to continue, I can't do anything about it, right? I'm not gonna go unplug the speaker. And I was like, look, I'm gonna go sleep on the beach, but I'm not paying for the room this night, you know, because I can't sleep here. And they were like, okay, like 1 night free, right? So I take my blanket and my sheet, and I literally go to the beach. Luckily, there's like a little cabana thing, and I sleep there. I end up coming back at like a few hours later because there's mosquitoes, but I basically slept on the beach. And the next day, which is yesterday, I see the guy, but he's hungover, and I was like, I don't want to bother him, so I just wave, you know. He's like, he waves, and I was like, okay, whatever. But I decided to come into town and just start looking around at accommodations, and the very first place that I stopped at, this place called Sun and Surf. You know, it wasn't even on my list of places I want to look at, because I looked on Google Maps, looked at photos. I just was like, oh, this is a good location, let me go in. And this local Sri Lankan guy was so nice. He said like, please, like he was like, please stay here. And he's like, what? He's like, what price do you want? And I was like, look, honestly, I just want to see the room. Like, it's not about the money. And he shows me the room, and honestly, they're fine, right? Like if you're on a budget and you want to stay there, it's a good location, nice guy, it's fine. But I was like, no, I really want to stay in a nicer place. I can afford it. And he was like, okay, what about this room? And he shows me this bigger room that's like a family room with 4 beds in there, like a king and then like 2 twins. And he's like, and I was like, I don't need that big of a room. Like, I was like, it'd be nice to have a big room, but I was like, I don't need 4 beds. And he's like, what do you want? I'll move out these beds. I'll move them to another room. I'll set up a table for you for your work. And I was like, yeah, that could work, you know? But I was like, it's still not like a nice room. And he was like, look, I'll give it to you for 1,500. And I was like, look, I'm like, I'm really sorry, but like, it's just, it's not about the money. Like, I'm just not interested. And I can tell he was so devastated that he even started telling his staff that he has a new customer. And you could see like his eyes light up. He was so excited to have any kind of business, just to have $7 a day. And I feel so bad. You know, I want to go back. If the restaurant's open, I'm going to go back and I'm going to eat there. I'm going to support him in any way. You know, I'm going to shout him out. So if anyone wants to stay at a nice, you know, comfortable, cheaper place, Surf and Sand. Great place, right? For a budget. But that, I also knew, I was like, man, this is completely opposite from the guy I'm staying with, he's like, you know, I don't care. Like, he's like, I don't care, like, you know, like that you're here, you're paying so little money. So I go to a few more places, and they're all like, every single one of them is like, without even me asking for the price, they're like, look, how much of a discount do you want? And I'm like, I just want to look at the room. Like, I like a value, and I want to get a fair price, because I don't like way overpaying from everyone else, but I'm also okay where I'll pay a little tiny bit more for a nicer place. Like, I don't mind. And right now I know the nicer rooms are either going to be slashed because there's no weekend tourists here. Because remember this, right? There's a big difference between a weekend tourist or a short-term tourist that's staying for like 2, 3, 4 nights, maybe a week, versus someone staying a month or 4 months. You know, like, it's okay for a lot of people to spend $100 or more a night, you know, on a 3-day trip. But most people are not going to spend $3,000 a month to stay in a hotel, especially in Sri Lanka, you know, if they're staying for longer term. So I knew there's going to be a bunch of places, and just even around like the very small area I looked at like 5 places, and they were all saying like 1,500, 2,000, you know, a night. And so I knew that was the going rate. And I looked at this one really nice place that I almost moved into. I feel bad I didn't go back. It's called Silly's Hotel and Pizza Restaurant, ironically. But it's a really nice place, CILI. And beautiful place, beautiful room, and ocean view. And it's just actually like a block and a half away from here. And I was like 99% sure I was gonna move in there. And, you know, I basically, but the owner wasn't there. And I was like, what time is he gonna come here? And he's like, you know, he's like at 7. I was like, okay, I'll come back at 7 and I'll talk to him. And at 6:30, I walk into this place, like almost by accident. I think I walked by. No, I was looking for it on Google Maps, and I walked by, and the guy, it's a local Sri Lankan guy that also owns the mini bar next door. He's like, oh yeah, you know, please come take a look at the rooms. Super nice rooms. And, you know, the other place was $55,000 a month. I know I'm confusing now with the monthly and nightly prices, but that's like, I don't know, 1,800 a night or something. Hello, good morning. And I was gonna move in. I was like, oh, that's a fair price. And then I came here and I was like, well, I'm gonna just move to this place, but this one doesn't have an ocean view, but I like it. It's a, you know, nice family, literally Sri Lankan family. The room, I think is a little bit nicer because there's a mini fridge, the other one didn't. You know, and it's just like a nice place, right? And it's just like a block away from each other. And I said, like, look, the other place is offering 55,000 a month, so I'm gonna move in there. But like, I'm willing to pay a little bit more, or the same, or a little bit more, moving here. And because most of these rooms are empty. I think there's only like 2 people staying here, like pretty much all Sri Lanka. So he's like, okay, like, I'll give it to you. He's like, you know what, I can't do 55, I'll do 60, so 2,000 a night, which is kind of like the standard, you know, price for rooms around here. And I said, okay, cool, but I can't move in until Wednesday because I promised my other guy that I'll stay for 1 week at minimum. And he's like, okay, no problem, you know. He's like, I'll see you on Wednesday. I go back and I'm about to tell the owners, you know, at first I find him in the bar, he's drinking again. And I was gonna tell him, like, you know, hey, you know, like, last night, like, wasn't cool, you know, like, and that I've decided I'm gonna move out, but I'm gonna honor the week. So I go to him and I like, even before I like open my mouth, I think I mentioned something. I was like, hey, you know, I was very, very nice. I was like, hey, you know, just let you know, I understand that you know, are making more money through the alcohol sales, but like, you know, I can't sleep. Like, it's like, I can't live here if you're gonna have another party. And he says to me, he's like, Johnny, you're only paying 4,000 a day. I normally charge, you know, 10,000. He's like, you know, I make so much more money from the party, and these people are, you know, they're enjoying themselves. I'm not gonna turn off the music. And I was like, yeah, but you told me 10 o'clock. Like, if you had told me I'm gonna do an all-night party, I would have just stayed somewhere else, you know, at least for that night or something. And, you know, at least I would have been prepared. At least would have been my decision. But you were like, Johnny, I promise you, 9:30, 10 o'clock. And he's like, I don't care. People are having fun. So, you know, people are buying drinks. So I continue it all night. And I was like, okay, well, just let you know, I'm not gonna stay in a month. You know, I'll honor until the week, and you know, then I'm gonna leave. And he's like, you can leave right now. He's like, get out of here. He's like, I don't need your 4,000. You know, get out of here. And normally someone's yelling at me. This guy's a big guy too. I'm a big guy, but this guy's like towering me, and he's like drunk, yelling in my face, like, get out of here. I don't want your 4,000 tonight. Get out of here. And I was like, oh man, this is my out. I can get out of my contract 2-3 days early, pay literally half of what I'm paying at this guy's place, and not be yelled at and not have music till 2 a.m. And I was like, okay. So I went into my room, I packed my stuff. I really wanted to film it. I'm sorry I didn't. I think it was just such a rush, and like, you know, even though I was pretty calm about it, it's still like an emotional thing, getting kicked out at like 8:30 or 9 p.m. And luckily I had already found a place that was great. So I took tuk-tuk here, and I said, hey man, I'm 3 days early. And he's like, oh, and he's super grateful. His family is so happy that I'm here. I'm spending money. And I'm sure they would rather have, you know, the full rate from 2 years ago during high season. But I think the difference is the local Sri Lankans, they understand there's ups and downs in business. So you're not always gonna have like the most profitable year. Like, as long as it's somewhat profitable and you have some people, you know, then it makes up for it slowly next year. I think this Western guy, I feel bad. He probably put his life savings into this place. He probably spent a lot of money into this place, and it's a very, very nice place. And I would like to mention the name because I would like to give him the business for the people who want that situation where you want to party, you want to have, you know, a nice room, like, you know, expensive room. You don't mind paying more because you're only here for a few days. But I don't even want to cause that controversy, you know. Like, because I honestly, I'm not even mad at him. I understand from his point of view why he's upset. You know, he invested in this property, spent a lot of money, and for 2 years in a row he's been screwed. And here I am paying 4,000 a night, and, you know, asking him to turn off the music when he promised. But while he's making way more money, and he's finally earning some money. So I understand, but at the same time, I think it's really, like, he should either, I don't even want to say what he do. What I would do, here's what I would do. I would either do the math and be like, okay, well, I can either get a few people to stay for a higher price, but they would only stay 2 or 3 days at a time, So, which means, you know, 5 days out of the month, I have someone paying, you know, $8,000 a night. Or I could have a bunch of guaranteed people who are paying $4,000 a month guaranteed, and spending money on food, you know, and eating here and keeping my business afloat, bringing their friends to eat here too, which I've done. And he could do the math and be like, yeah, this one person doesn't cover all my expenses because I have staff, I have my mortgage, all this stuff. But if I can get 2, 3, 4, 5 of these guys like him, then I'm actually making a small profit. I could manage this year, I could make a little bit of money, and then hopefully next year, I could make it up. But unfortunately, that's just not the way he was thinking. You know, she's thinking like, this one guy is paying so little money compared to what I normally pay, disregarding that I literally am paying double what everyone else is charging already. And it's a principle thing. I mean, honestly, I could afford to pay him a little bit more money, but it's a principle thing. I'm like, I'm willing to pay you double what everyone else is charging because I can and because of the convenience. But I'm not willing to pay you 3, 4 times as much as everyone else on the block is charging. I mean, you don't even appreciate it. And that's the dilemma. So this has been a long kind of ranty video. I was actually going to show you my my room, but maybe I'll say that for another video. But I'm very happy to be here, and I'm curious, what are your thoughts on this? Like, what would you have done? Would you have stayed there longer? Would you have just, you know, paid the guy more? Would you have moved much sooner? You know, do you understand why? You know, what would you do in his situation? Like, I'm so curious. Leave a comment below. Love this discussion, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. Ciao. Hey buddy, how you doing? That's coffee. You don't want that. Don't take my coffee.